few cards, oracle cards, to help us for guidance whenever you find this video. So I have here gliding through currents. It's talking about approaching the same situation that you've been before, being able to see through a different perspective, with a different grace and ease, through different mindset and thought processes, where it allows you for more in-depth or deeper understanding of your place in that situation, what lessons it can get from this, and how can you apply a different perspective, a different action, a different reaction to get a different outcome, an outcome that brings you more into grace and ease. And then I have the Judgment. For us to be able to see sometimes a different perspective of ourselves or others or the situation, it comes down to judgment. It comes down how we see ourselves, how we perceive ourselves, how we're perceived, how others perceive us. And when we can detach from that and drop from that judgment, it opens a whole new level of possibilities and perspectives into any situation that we go through. But I think here is talking about situations that have come and gone a few times, and you can call them cycles because they come and gone a few times as repetitive, and we reacted and acted exactly the same way. But one day, all of a sudden, you see a different perspective, and that's because you have dropped self-judgment. A lot of the things we think that we dropped judgment, upon others, but really we are dropping our own self-judgment, and therefore it opens up to, glide through the current, glide through the situation with, ease and grace. Sometimes that can bring quite a lot of remembrance from past life, past memories, past traumas, that can bring us an enlightenment of being able to see, which has always been there, but being able to finally see where that judgment come from within yourself, from any situation that you have perhaps been in, and created a perspective and an interpretation, and therefore a coping mechanism and a conditioning and a programming that you've been using all your life. And then today you get into a situation, but you see it differently. And it brings you a remembrance, a memory of where that came from. And it's very powerful. This is very validating. It might bring a little bit of shadow, but it's bringing gratitude with it, that you can actually see and release. It's a chance to release. Gold with quartz. Quartz is clear. Quartz, you can see through it. Quartz is allowing you to see through a situation, but the gold is the enlightenment that you saw through the situation, the lesson, the teaching, the message, the understanding, the consciousness, right? The consciousness that brings into it for you to see the gold opportunity. This is how I see this card at the moment. I have here the donkey. I love the donkey. And he says, patience, humility, and sacrifice. And I think the message that's coming across here is, sometimes when we go through a situation, we have a remembrance of a past trauma or a past life. It can shake us sometimes. It can brings us into, the shadow work. And it's reminding you here, just saw 1212, it's reminding you here to go through it, with patience to yourself, humility to yourself, but not through self-sacrifice, because you already done the sacrifice. you know, when you had that memory, that was the sacrifice. And now it's about having patience and humility to that sacrifice that you've been through. Okay, so allow yourself to go through, but allow yourself to go through and out the other end. I know that you are always protected by your guides, by your soul, by your own intuition. Archangel Michael is always in, you know, present in moments that we know we have to go through a little bit of shadow work, a little bit of deeper understanding about ourselves, so that we don't fall in the puddle of self-guilt, self-blame, self-shame. That delays everything that we do. And it's funny because the card came through. A card came through, but just fell off my hands. It's consciously complete, right? When you get through the other end and you have found the healing through the shadow, and you know, you already see the situation through different eyes, you are consciously complete for that specific trauma or trauma bond. And I'm going to save this card to the end because I have a feeling we need to come back to it. Again, beautiful perspective, right? It only takes perspective to be able to allows us to see something through different lenses, different eyes, different ways, through different angles, through, you know, through the shoes of others, through the shoe of ourselves, through the shoe of the different versions of ourselves, not just the version of today, but the version that went through that cycle a few times and couldn't see, or that person that actually created the coping mechanism, that version of you that created a coping mechanism that has blocked you to see a perspective that you see today. So today is a big day for you to understand. It was a lesson that perspectives are endless, and we have infinite possibilities, and everything is always there for us to see, but we have to, you know, unblock these so we can see, or shine the light so we can see. But it's always there. It's always there. It's never hidden. We're the ones not willing to see. And this is what we are uncovering. What are we not willing to see? I have a beautiful rabbit. I love rabbits. Reaping what's sown, constancy and perspective. So perspective is coming now again, and being able to work with those moments of perspectives with consistency, right? Which being able to see something through different eyes allows you to go get what you need, right? To be either planting the seed or getting what you need, right? And I love this. When this card came out as fertility, but I'm actually feeling it as the creation, because when you go through a situation that you've seen in it with different eyes, you have a different reaction, you have a different outcome, you have a different lesson, different learning, and that gives you an ignition, that gives you a light sparkle for creation. What are you creating from that situation? Are you creating a new version of yourself? Are you creating new ideas? Are you creating new ways of thinking? You know, ways of thinking that are not limited, right? Have you broken down a thought process that was very limited through seeing that situation in a different way? So that's what fertility is that manifestation, the new manifestation of a new version of yourself. Because we all keepers of the light. We all keepers of the light. We hold the light, but we also hold things in the way of the light that create shadows, blind spots. I call them blind spots because they're always there. Just like a blind spot when you're driving a car. The car is there, you just can't see it. It doesn't mean that the universe is not sending you the signs it is, but you are a bearer of light. And I think what this reminds you is to always ask every morning to be able to see through with the light, being able to see what you need to see that day, today, um, in any now moment, through your own light, not the light of others. Through the light of others, it can become a more complex process because we're always waiting for someone to bring us a trigger, to bring us this. But how can you see through your own light? You are a bearer of light. You have your own light to shine. You don't need to wait for others to shine for you. And I think that's what it comes to. I love this. It's coming in such a good sequence, these cards, and I shuffled a few times. So I love how the sequence is coming through. It's really fitting in together. This is number 1, Sarah in the White Spring. Feel your sacred chalice. And it's a number 1, right? We have here 33 is 6, but it's also 33 is a master number. 33 equals 6 is harmony, is balance. Yeah, you're a bearer of light. You have your own balance. Right, and then we have number 1, because when you can see through your own light, you can feel your own chalice. You're not feeling your own chalice through the eyes of anyone else. And this is the beginning of your new way of seeing the world, of your new perspectives. To use your own light, to see through your own perspective, to ask Archangel Michael. He'll show you, okay? And you're feeling your own sacred chalice with love, with joy, fulfillment, unconditional love. And that's what you're asking. It says the moon here. You got the moon. The moon represents feminine energy and enchantment. Its power can move all the tides on earth, and it can also affect our moods and abilities. There can be times of rest and times of movement. Keep a diary with the moon cycle to plan your time ahead. I work with the phases of the moon. That's an affirmation from the card. And I love this because, you know, we create with the phases of the moon. Yeah, we create with the phases of the moon. There's also a card here that came out. Right, shadow work can also be enhanced, assisted when you understand how the moon affects you. It can really assist you in a more graceful healing. Okay. And then it's time to take authority, right? You are the most powerful being of your own life. It's time to take authority. What is it that you've learned today in the situation today that you saw with different eyes that help you understand a different perspective, a different consciousness that healed something in the past, that now you can go forward, feel your own sacred chalice with authority, with your own powers, with your own authority, with your own intuition, with your own light, because you're a bearer of light, with your own decision, without the judgment. Yeah, because you dropped a judgment today. If you're in that situation that you saw something with different eyes, you definitely dropped a judgment today. How can you take that step forward? This is good karma deliverance day, right? You release something, you're getting something back. What's that something back you're getting that you can use now to take charge? And there's 2 cards here that I think can go really well together. Okay. So what am I afraid of losing? Perhaps is the question that you can ask right at the beginning when you encounter a situation that you've been before, that you recognize as a pattern, recognize as a repeated situation. You're asking yourself, why am I in this situation again? What is it that I'm not seeing? What is it that I'm afraid to lose? What is it that I'm afraid to gain? We not always associate a fear with something we're afraid to gain, but we do always associate a fear with something we're afraid to lose. And what is that? And I think that if you've gone through all these situations again and have gone through a whole different new perspective, how to resolve the situation, you've got some lessons, you have gone through a complete consciousness of that aspect, right? You might find trauma bonds to that. It might be easier to get through that as well. But perhaps you have found this complete consciousness of understanding for that specific situation. Now, this card is coming to me more on a personal level. It says an initiation to connect, and I have not read the part on the book to really go in depth and understand what the card says, but I'm going by feeling and also a little bit by a personal, how this card is touching me personally. I think every time we go through a situation, a repetitive cycle where we understand where we come from, from that shadow aspect, and then we can make a different decision, a different outcome. We're moving forward. We're moving forward with that authority of, being your own Lord, being your own bearer of light, filling your own chalice with the fertility, right? With the creativity. We're moving forward. How can we move forward? But how can we move forward within a connection? Is it a connection into yourself, to the new version of yourself? Is it a connection to the old version of yourself? Is it a connection to where those people in those situations come from? Where are they coming from? Can you connect to that? Do you need to connect to that? Do you need to connect to that and act upon it, or just connect to that for understanding? It could mean an invitation to connect. It could mean anything. And I think you can take this card and apply to your own perspective now of, what the cards said so far, what situation you're in. And I want you to just use that intuition and connect to that situation, connect to your intuition, connect to the moving forward. What is your next step? And whatever comes to mind it is what it is. Whatever comes to mind is what you're ready to move forward into next. And yes, you can question, but if you move forward with it, you will eventually learn more and more. And perhaps there's a reason why it came to mind. Yeah, your soul is communicating with you, your higher self is communicating with you. And I suppose that is an initiation, an invitation for connection. You're moving forward. Where are you going to moving forward from? Are you going to moving forward from a new programming or conditioning, or are you going to moving forward now from this new level of perspective that gave you an opening to your higher self, an opening to your intuition, an opening to your soul, an opening to your inner creation? Yeah. So perhaps even if I read this, it would give me some insights, but right now I'm really connected with this card and how it's closing off this whole reading. And whoever is this is for, I hope he has assisted you in any way. And I send you love and light. Thank you very much.